I'd like to give him special thanks for allowing us to interview Mr. Robert Goble, the novelist of Across the Harvested Field here at the library. I've been in the entertainment business for many, many years, and I don't always come across a special book like Across a Harvested Field, and I had the pleasure of coming across this book, but I actually came across it by way of the poster. I was in Eborn Books in Salt Lake City, Utah, with a director, and I looked up and I saw this poster and I thought, wow, that looks like a really interesting book. And here I am sitting with Mr. Robert Goble, the novelist of Across a Harvested Field. So tell me, Robert, tell me about your book.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. This is a book that you can't just stick into one category. It wasn't written with a formula in mind. This was written for the sake of the story itself, and it was a story that was important to me as it developed in my mind and heart, really. Imagine this young, widowed Spanish teacher rents his basement apartment to this beautiful young woman, and how it all builds up, how it starts, where he just couldn't get the renter that he wanted, so he decides he's going to pull the sign up, and he walks out, and as he's in his bathrobe, and as he's trying to yank the sign out of the ground, he looks up, and the gal across, he's talking to one of the people answering the ad, and there she is across the street. Is that you? She says. So he's trying to pull his bathrobe together. He's pulling the sign up at the same time. Yeah, and one side of him is like, oh, get rid of her, and the other part of him is, well, he's a guy, and wow, there's this woman there. Takes her down. He thinks, so okay, I'll show it off to her. But the other side of him is get rid of her. He decides, well, I'm going to try and tell her that I'm going to charge her too much. But she takes it. And so he thinks, gosh darn, should I really do this? He goes ahead and rents it to her. But you can imagine this friendship that just really starts to begin to grow between the two of them. And essentially, she's this famous pop star hiding out temporarily from the paparazzi. He has no idea who she is, doesn't recognize her, doesn't read the tabloids. And, to see somebody like that without their makeup and all the get-up, you're not going to recognize who they are. And of course, she's given him a different name. He doesn't know this famous Natalia Antonelli. But this is a story about two people that really need to heal. He's gone through that terrible car accident where he loses his wife and children. She's going through this fundamental change in her life where this persona that she's created, this stage character, the stage presence, it's devouring her life. This is not who she really is inside her heart. And so she's looking for something, but she doesn't know how to find it. And so this is where she has just decided to disappear for the rest of the world for a little while. And she's writing this new album as she does this. And she's fundamentally changing her music, everything about her life. And so, but he doesn't realize that that's what's happening.
Because he has no idea who she is.
He has no idea who she is. But it's really beautiful. And I was just wondering if there were some parts that you really, what did you really enjoy?
I enjoyed the paparazzi scene when he gets confronted by the paparazzi scene, and they come to his house, and all of a sudden his whole world is topsy-turvy. His whole world is turned upside down. He has no idea. He doesn't know how to deal with it. He's frustrated of all these people at his home. He doesn't know what to do. And the other part was when he tries to get her out of the hospital after she's had the surgery, and he runs into the paparazzi, and everywhere he goes he gets to a dead end, and he has to figure out a way how to get away from the paparazzi, because once they know who he is and he's in that vehicle and they say, there he is, he has to figure out how to get away. and you have to read the book to get that information, unfortunately, or in this case, fortunately, because it's a wonderful book, and I think it's very special. And I could not put it down once I got it. I even took it to work. I took it to work, and every time I got a chance to read it on my breaks or my lunch, I got to read some of it, and I just couldn't stop reading it. And I think that you have a wonderful book here. It's a very special.
Thank you. That means a lot. And anyway.
But I also like the ending as well, but I can't give that away. But tell me about where does a lot of this inspiration for writing this book came from?
You know, I think it's really the story itself and the essence of these two people that are going through these fundamental changes in their lives, and what would happen to this poor guy once he really finds out who she is, once he really starts to, where she becomes somebody important in his life. And how does he reconcile this? Because suddenly it's almost like a lie to him. And especially the way he finds out. You know, you were describing that scene, you know, the way he finds out. You know, can they really repair that? And you know, I think of everybody wants to change something about their lives. Everybody wants to build special connections with people. Everybody has skeletons in their closets. Everybody is working on something. I think people view themselves as good people and they want to be better. Generally, I should hope that's the case with everybody. But you have a scene in there where he persuades her to go to his family's Thanksgiving dinner. She's down in the basement. She's been there for weeks, and just kind of really reclusive, and he feels sorry for her, you know, and of course the family's going to say, well, who's she? You know, but he's trying to assure them that, well, you know, she's just a friend, you know, and so, well, where did you meet her? Well, she's just, you know, she's in Salt Lake for business and all this type of stuff. I mean, he's trying to
really tell him what's going on.
He's trying to give his family a story of something that he doesn't completely understand, you know, and his family's like, well, okay, you know, who's this young woman? But it's the one teenage girl across the table from her that recognizes her and just stares at her. And it's like, oh my gosh, you know, you look just like Natalia Antonelli. And of course, Natty, she, to try to get out of it, she, you know, stands up, she takes the ponytail out of her hair, she gets up and she says, you know, I'll give you my best Natalia impersonation, you know, so she gets up there, sings a little bit of the song, and everybody claps, you know, it's cute. And you think this whole situation is disarmed. Well, you know, as time goes on, this guy starts to notice that there's really something strange about this woman. She's always on the phone, you know.
It's kind of like the part when they're in the hospital and he starts to notice that the nurses and the people at the front desk are looking and talking, and when he comes close to them, as he gets closer, they stop talking, and all of a sudden they disperse and they go one way and the other way, and he's like, what's going on here? Why are people doing this? And he doesn't have a clue of what's happening at that particular point.
And I think that's the hardest part. And I think a lot of us have gone through situations like this where the joke is on us,
right?
In a sense. And I think every one of us has experienced something like that. And I think people can relate to that situation, especially big things in our lives sometimes.
Right.
You know, the joke is on us.
I also love the ending, but you're going to have to read the book, so you have to go buy it. It's a wonderful ending. I love it.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I love it. So now tell me, you didn't do any kind of formula to writing this story?
No formula. A lot of people have tried.
What do you mean by that? And not to interrupt you, but what do you mean by formula? Is there formulas to writing books?
Yeah, sometimes there are. There are formulas to horror stories. There are formulas to fantasy. There are formulas to romance. And people stick to these formulas, and people like to buy them because of those formulas.
Okay.
But sometimes when you have a story to tell, you don't quite fit it right in that exact place. And I wanted it for, like I said, I wanted it for the sake of the story. A lot of people have assumed that it's just going to be your formulaic romance.
Okay.
and they're surprised. A lot of times, surprised in a good way, like you were. You know,
Yeah,
this
I was
isn't
totally,
what I expected.
totally enthralled in it. I loved it very, very, very much. I just, like I said, it's a special book. I couldn't put it down.
Oh, thank
I
you.
couldn't put it down. I was totally into this story, and I never noticed a formula. I don't know what that meant as far as formulas for a book, but I loved the book, and it is truly a special book.
I appreciate that.
Now, so tell me, what's your next project?
You know, it's part 5 of In Older Worlds, the conclusion. This is probably one of the most exciting projects I've ever worked on. Not to say that this wasn't exciting for me.
And this is an exciting book, let me tell
And
you.
this didn't, you know, what's funny is a lot of authors will stick to one type of story. But this in and of itself is another story that doesn't quite fit a formula.
Okay.
I would call it an esoteric fantasy, a dark esoteric fantasy with elements of horror and even little bits of elements of romance. But you know, in this case, it's a serial ebook, and I was experimenting with that. You know, it's not coming out in print first. It's actually the print version is going to come out after I finish part 5, the conclusion.
Okay.
But it's come out part 1, the different parts. You can get on Kindle, Nook, even your phone, any e-reader. You know, imagine a group of people flee a mansion like coming back in '69, and something dark follows them, takes an interest in their children. And you forward to 1984, and you got this group of teenagers experiencing strange things, and they discover something special about their lives. So you know, and I'll tell you, this one, I've got people just screaming right now for part 5, and that's where
I've heard that. I've heard people that have read it. They really like the action in it as well. This is a very special book, but I'd really love to see this in a motion picture, and
I would too. To be honest with you.
And I would like to see the script, and I'd like to see the screenplay, but I'd like to know, who would you cast in these 2 characters?
Ooh, oh my gosh.
Do you have anybody in mind?
Yeah, actually, I could imagine Emmy Rossum playing Natty.
Emmy Rossum.
Emmy Rossum. That's what I can picture. For the guy, ooh, that's a hard one. I don't pay attention to any young guy actors. I don't care about them.
No, we never do. We're guys.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think if I'm going to give a name, if I could picture an actress, Emmy Rossum. So maybe that'll go out on the airwaves, and somebody will pick it up, and who knows what'll happen.
If at all possible, maybe she can read the book and maybe be interested in it.
Hey, did you hear that, Miss Rossum?
So, but yes, it's a very good book. It's very special to me. I cannot put it down. If you would like to purchase this, you can go to Eborn Books in downtown Salt Lake City and purchase this novel by Robert Goble, Across a Harvested Field.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.